Well, good morning, everyone. It's good to see some familiar faces and some new faces today. Just as an introduction, my name is Allie Cantu. I'm one of the registered dietitians here with the Chef program at the San Antonio Foodbank. So just a little background of Chef. It stands for the Culinary Health Education for Families. And we create curriculum that we teach, specifically nutrition education curriculum. And our whole message is we like to tie not only our nutrition messaging, but also with culinary skills. So that way it's practical nutrition tips that you can take home and hopefully taste right away. And so this series that we're doing for the month of February, we're doing Nutrition Through Cancer. So I know we're so happy to be working with ThriveWell, with all of you, and this is our second lesson of the series. And so a pop quiz for anyone that was here last week. We went ahead and started with the first lesson of Nutrition Through Cancer. Can anyone tell me kind of the three main components that we talked about when we're wanting to focus on our diet? The three components we're wanting to focus on? That's okay. Oh, no, you're good. So I'll do a little recap then for last week. So the three components, specifically whenever you're either diagnosed with a cancer diagnosis, or you're going through treatment or after treatment, the whole goal, nutrition-wise, is we want to prevent malnutrition. We're wanting to make sure that you're in a state of being highly nourished. And so the three ways we can do that is through calories, through protein, and through vitamins and minerals. So those are the three components that we are focusing on. And so I wanted to go a little bit more into detail today, and I don't have a whiteboard to show you what that would look like. I know there are some questions about, well, how do we know how many calories we're supposed to eat, or how do we know how much protein we need? So that, again, is going to be on a person-by-person basis. And I can give you kind of some rules of thumbs on how to calculate that. But usually if you're working with your healthcare team or a dietitian, they can sit one-on-one with you and kind of walk you through that. But we'll be talking a little bit today. So in addition to those three components, what were they again? The three? Calories, protein, and vitamins and minerals. Yep, so in addition to those three, that's our nutrition component. We want to also think about our lifestyle and our support systems. So again, whenever you're faced with a diagnosis, it can be frightening. What has been some of your experiences when you first were diagnosed with cancer? If anyone's willing to share, when you were diagnosed, what was that like for you? Scary?
And worrying about the treatment service.
Right.
You get the diagnosis, and the next thing so what do we do about it? How do we treat it?
Exactly. What do you do when something is diagnosed like this, right? So how have you been able to, I know the support system, I think ThriveWell is the perfect way to answer that support system, but how have you been able to cope with the new diagnosis? Anyone?
Trying to learn, get information and learn so it's
Learn.
not so like using a general understanding and what's happening to your body and
Right.
what the medicine's supposed to do.
Right. Definitely. Learning is that first kind of step to help overcome maybe the scaries or understanding, like you're saying, what's going on. So I love that. Learning is a great way. Hopefully we can continue adding to that learning process here, wherever you are in your cancer journey. Anyone else? And if not, that's okay too. But again, so we'll be learning, focusing on the support, being able to cook together today with ThriveWell, and then too, that physical activity. And so I know I love the fact that you'll have a dance group with ThriveWell, or if you are active, walking, any way to just try to keep that movement in your body. And not only does it help improve and promote a positive mood for us, but again, it's shown to help mitigate some of those side effects as you're going through your cancer treatment. So if you feel like you have the energy to do it, it's definitely encouraged. But we'll focus solely on nutrition today. and a little of that support. So we finished off that last class. Again, we talked about the 3 components and the 3 ways we can focus on going through a treatment process. And we finished off with talking about the new American plate, right? So if I had a plate, actually, I can use this. If I use this as my diagram, thinking about it, the new American plate was designed to help us understand how to build a plate that is not only preventative, but also helps to mitigate, again, those side effects throughout cancer. So what it focuses on is plant-based versus animal-based products, and it divides our plate into thirds. So I always think of it looking like a peace sign, maybe upside down. There you go, there's our peace sign. 2/3 of it is going to be plant sources of protein, carbohydrates, and fats. We want to get our plant sources. And then we have only 1/3 as animal sources. So that's the new American plate. Again, it was created by the American Institute of Cancer Research. I believe that's the whole acronym, American Institute for Cancer Research. So we're going to build a plate today. And today it's actually going to be all plant-based. We had to remove our animal base from today just because right before class found out that the cheese we were using and the dairy that we were using was recalled. So I did not want to serve any listeria-prone items. So it's going to be mainly plant-based today. But we're going to keep that in mind. If we had the cheese or if we did any other recipes at home, how can we incorporate that plate mentality? So just thinking about like your breakfast or lunch, we'll have lunch here, but your breakfast for today, what kind of breakfast did you have and where did it fall on the 2/3 to 1/3? I see Ms. Dina, you're nodding back there, you're saying no. What did you have for breakfast today? Yogurt? Okay, yogurt, coffee. Well, so then if we're taking that mentality of using this plate 2/3 to 1/3, I know in the morning I don't really have a big appetite. So if it's maybe, it would be very small like a yogurt too, how can we add some plant-based into that to still get a little bit more of that 2/3 into our plate?
Berries.
Berries, oh, I love that. Fruit, right? Some nuts, yeah. Any kind of granola, yeah, like you're saying, like grains. I love that. So again, it can be very simple what we're eating already and just adding in maybe an extra ingredient or using something new and different like a new flavored granola to add in and still getting something that we like while also meeting the 2/3 to 1/3, right? So just some things to keep in mind. Today, we have our tofu, avocado, and cucumber with mango salad. So who has worked with tofu before? No, we haven't worked with tofu yet. This is the first tofu recipe we've had for Chef. So, not typically a tofu person. That is what is in the bowl today. So hopefully it's something new, something different to work with. What do we think? Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs, who knows what's gonna happen? Okay, well, we're working on it. Hopefully by the end I can maybe change some minds. We'll work on it. So again, tofu is gonna be that plant-based version of protein. So we've talked about protein in the past. Last time we had some tuna. We had our tuna and chickpea salad. We added some quinoa into that. The quinoa was a really great plant-based source of protein. It's a grain that has all essential amino acids. So it helps to, again, add that protein into our plate without it having to be an animal source. So I know there was a request last time. How do we not only calculate our protein needs, but also what are some other plant sources of it? So I'll first talk about calculating our protein needs. So again, it's going to be very different person to person, and also where you're at in your treatment. But if we're looking at just maintaining our normal protein maintenance, where we're wanting to maintain our muscle mass while also helping to maintain where we're at, the rule of thumb that we use is 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per kilogram of body weight. Okay, I know, so it sounds like it's a lot to think about. So first what we'll do is we'll take how muchever we weigh, we'll want to divide it by 2.2. So if you have your phone, if you want to do some calculations, you can. This is a very, again, preliminary way of calculating protein needs. And this is just for maintenance. So again, we'll get our weight, whatever we weigh in pounds, and we'll want to divide it by 2.2. So that converts us to kilograms. And then if we're using the highest end of our calculation, so it's 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per kilogram. So whatever you came out to once you divided your weight by 2.2, that's how many grams of protein you want to eat in a day. That's our value of 1. Now, depending on where you're at in your treatment, again, there could be a need for cancer patients that are stressed. So they need higher protein levels in order to maintain their weight, maintain muscle mass. And so again, I tell you just to work with your doctor on that. That's a little bit of a higher range. So it's 1 gram to 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. So again, if that's something that you're in treatment right now, and they're saying that you are maybe in a stress state, because that's what cancer can do, and also treatment can do to our body. It puts us in a stress state, so we need more calories, more protein than normal. Then you would take your weight in kilograms, so whatever it was after you divided 2.2, and then you multiply it by 1.5, and that's about how many grams of protein you want to be eating in a day. That can be very challenging when you just see a number and how do I even reach that? Again, so that's why we're going to think about some ways of building our plate with some protein in it today. And then to just speak to calories as well, again, rule of thumb, it ranges for every person depending on how active you are. So someone that is just kind of a sedentary adult, I know that I would consider myself in that category because oftentimes I'm just sitting here at my desk or typing away and working on items there. So for me, I would recommend for anyone that's a sedentary adult about 25 to 30 kilograms, 25 to 30 calories per kilogram. So again, once you had your weight divided by the 2.2, that's our kilogram weight, then you'll want to multiply that by 25 to 30. And that's about how many calories you should be eating in a day. Again, very, very preliminary numbers and preliminary way to kind of start thinking about numbers and calculating. Again, a dietitian, someone on your healthcare team can help you walk through it. But that's how we would kind of calculate our numbers. And then if someone needed to gain weight or were concerned about weight loss at that time, we would see a higher rule of thumb. So we'd see anywhere between 30 to 35 calories per kilogram. So if you have questions, I can always definitely talk one-on-one with you, and we can look at it a little bit closer. But just some numbers on how we try to calculate our energy needs. But now let's get cooking, because this tofu is not going to cook itself, so we definitely gotta work with it just a little bit. Just by a show of hands, who has cooked with tofu before? Maybe? No? Okay, we're gonna try it out today and see. So we purchased a firm tofu, and I cut it into portions of 3 for everyone, but it usually comes in a block. And what I did actually is I lined my tray with paper towels. I put all the tofu here, and then I put a separate tray right on top, and I put actually my skillet to help press it. So this is called like pressing your tofu. It helps to get any of that extra liquid juice to come out of it. So I pressed it for about 30, 45 minutes beforehand, just so that way, and now you can see actually my paper towels are soaked, and that was from all 4 of ours today. But I'm gonna go ahead, and mine kind of crumbled just a little bit. So you can use tofu and a lot of different things, and it comes in different firmness. So you can get a silk tofu and throw it into a smoothie. It blends right up. You wouldn't even know that it's in it, and it's giving you extra protein. Exactly. I know. It's a great source, again, of calcium. It's also going to be a great source of protein, and wouldn't even know it's in there because you can put your berries in it, you can put some yogurt, again, and it's just a plant source of protein. So the way it's made is using soy milk, and they make it like a cheese. So cheese, what we do is we get regular cow's milk and we press out the curds, and then we solidify it into a block. It's the same thing with tofu. We created a block just like that. So what we're doing today is we're gonna use just very little, and we're gonna create cubes with it. So I'm gonna first cut vertically, and then I'm gonna cut horizontally to create a cube. Now mine was a little odd shaped if you're following along, just because my whole box broke apart. But I'm gonna try to get as close as I can to cubes. So just right here. All right. I've already pressed it, yes, for today. So that usually you could do 15 minutes or so, and that's if you're wanting to, like today we're gonna pan fry it just a bit. So you can press it, but if you're throwing it like into a blender, into a smoothie, or you're making a scramble, so I could make a scramble with this, like scrambled eggs, but again, a plant source of it. And I could just mash it up like if I was making scrambled eggs on a stovetop. So it's the same difference. All right. I'm gonna grab my bowl here, or you can do it on your plate. I'm just gonna put my tofu in. And I'm gonna coat with 1 tablespoon of olive oil. So everyone should have about 1 tablespoon divided into, or it should be 2 tablespoons, but everyone will be sharing 1 tablespoon at the table. So you'll use about 1/3 of 1 container. Yes, so it'll be for everyone to share the first tablespoon. So I don't know if that makes sense. So once you cut it, yes, the second container will be for cooking. The first container is to divide between the 3 of you at your table. So 1 tablespoon will be to share between the 3 at each table. So you'll pour just very little into your tofu, so just a little bit, and then you'll share it with the other 2 people at your table. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna do just a quick toss. So this is just to kind of coat our tofu. You can also use your fork if you wanna toss it. Yep, so once we toss it, and it's coated in olive oil, next we're gonna get our cornstarch. So this is what the white powder is. And again, you're gonna share this between the 3 at your table. And we're gonna coat just very little. This is gonna help us to get a crunch on our tofu. And I'm not using all of it. And I'm gonna again coat it and toss. There we go. So now that my tofu is coated in olive oil and cornstarch, I'm gonna open up my skillet and I'm gonna turn it on to about a high heat. Let's see. Okay. All right. I know the tofu is falling apart just a little bit. Let's see. And so this is a firm tofu. We could have tried maybe an extra firm tofu, and that could have helped maintain the structure. I know also different brands of tofu maintain their structure just a little bit more too. So we're gonna do a medium to high heat. So about, I would say maybe like 400 degrees. And oh, okay. Then let's do about 375. Let's try there. Okay, so my skillet's pretty hot. I'm gonna use the other tablespoon of olive oil and I'm gonna put that in the pan. I'm gonna grab just a little bit more. And so, yes, so you can use the whole pan. It's a pretty large tray. And as long as it's heating up, we should be okay. How are we doing? Okay. Do you feel your pan heating up?
Yes.
Yes, it's heating up? Everyone's heating up so far? Maybe? Okay. Okay, so once your olive oil is heating up, and you'll be able to notice that the olive oil is pretty hot, so if you can see up on the cameras, I'm just tilting just a little bit, and my oil is running on me. So I think that is perfect. I know it's nice and hot. I'm going to try to coat as much as I can, and I'm going to throw my tofu right in. And this does take a little bit of time. There we go. Right there. So now I can hear it sizzling. So the point of what we're doing right now is we're trying to brown our tofu. We're trying to get it to that nice crunch. You could do it in several different ways. You can do a pan sear like we're doing today. You could also throw it into the oven, or if you have an air fryer. What we did is we're just cubing up our tofu, and then you could throw it into the air fryer, coat it with some olive oil in about 12 minutes at like about 400 degrees. You'd have nice crispy tofu. This is going to take about 10 to 15 minutes or so. Okay. I'm going to close mine for just a little bit. I'm closing it just a little bit. Once I have it kind of laid out, I'm going to let it sit for about a minute or two and then toss it again. But I just want to see, how's everyone doing? How's it going so far? Okay. It's supposed to brown. It'll take like 10 to 15 minutes though. It does take some time. Yeah, that's why I'm closing it just a little bit. You can close it, and then I'm going to let it sit just for a little bit on its own, and then I'm going to toss so it doesn't get stuck to the bottom. But so there's our tofu. You can also use a marinade for a tofu. So if anyone's wanting to try a marinade before we cook it, you can try different marinades at home, depending on the style or the flavor you're using. You can do a soy sauce marinade. Let it sit. You can do steaks. So create, again, steaks of tofu. Steaks, you can use steak seasoning. Depending, it's all based on how you cut it. So today we're just cubing it and throwing it in, trying to let it brown just a little bit. But that's our tofu piece. So the next, I just wanted to show you, again, we're building out our mango, avocado, and our cucumber. So I was going to just show you how I cut everyone's mango up, because sometimes mangoes can be tricky, right? Yeah. So this mango, I kept the soft one for myself, so y'all didn't get the mushy mango. But let me just clean off my knife. So again, the mango has a seed that goes vertical right down the middle, like here in the middle. So what I do is I find right here the rind, or on the rind, this part. I try to keep it vertical up and down this way. and I go down with my knife. So to cut on either side of that seed, and I don't want to lose too much. Oh, okay, there you go. I don't want to lose too much of the mango that's still around or on the seed. So then what I do is I go at an angle. And then now I'm able to peel off. So you'll notice that most of you have a fourth. So what I did is I just cut this in half for everyone. And then you also will have some pieces that look a little odd shaped. So that's because they're the pieces that I took off of the seed. I went at an angle, and you're still able to salvage quite a bit of your mango just by going at an angle with it. So I was able to salvage all this, and then you can just peel off the seed from there. Or peel off the rind from there, sorry. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna toss. So you can see now, I got one side pretty browned up on this side of my tofu. I'm gonna just toss it. Toss. Okay. I want both sides brown. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna leave it as is. So just be careful. I hear some of the oil is popping, so just be careful. I don't want anyone to burn themselves, to kind of stay back if you can. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it for another 2 to 3 minutes, and I'm gonna cut up the mango that I have now. So I'm just gonna, everyone should have a few pieces of mango. So I'm gonna, while it's still on the peel, before I peel it off, I'm gonna score it. So scoring looks like this. Oop, does not look like that. Scoring, I still have the peel, so to score, you'd wanna keep it on your mat, but I'm gonna just pull up, not great safety, nice safety, so don't do what I do, but do what I say. That's what I meant. So from the very tip of my knife, what I'm doing is I'm scoring. You can usually do this with like a paring knife as well. So I'm not going all the way down through. What I'm doing is I'm just creating a grid. So I'm first going one way. I'm gonna go turn it. And then now I'm gonna go the other way to create like checkers on my mango. So now I have my mango, and if I pull it like this, inside out, I have a bunch of pieces of mango. So you could then use your knife to peel it off, or you could even use a cup and use a cup to peel it off. So you're just creating a grid. So you go one way, vertical, turn it 90 degrees, do another vertical cut. So that way you have smaller cubes. And then I'm just gonna peel it off. All right, and I can smell my tofu now. I'm gonna turn down the heat just a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna turn it down just a bit more. And my tofu looks just about ready. I don't want to burn it anymore. Woo! So I'm gonna turn it off. I'm turning off my skillet completely. I'm gonna pull my tofu off as well and put it on my plate. Yeah. How's your tofu looking? Is it looking brown any? Just a little bit, just brown? So it looks like 1 or 2 pieces of mine may have burned a little, so I'm gonna stay away from those, but I'm gonna just pull it off now. I'm gonna let it sit on the side, cool down while I make the rest of my salad for today. Let me just make sure this is off, okay. Alrighty. So I'm gonna keep cutting my mango. Here we go. So I'm going to use 1/4 of an avocado. And what do the avocados provide us? Fat, right? So, and then is it a fruit, a vegetable? Fruit. Perfect. I love it, right? Especially we always think of that with the seed. So if it has a seed, it's a fruit. And then, mine is not completely ripe either. So another way you can tell with an avocado if it's ripe is when you go to peel it, it should fall off just perfectly. And 2, you should also see the peel. You should just be able to pull back the peel without losing any of your avocado. And then this one's giving me some trouble. So that's how I know it's not completely ripe. So let's see. There we go. And I'm going to give it just one smaller chop. There we go. So now we have our mango, we have our avocado. To finish off the title, we have cucumber. So here we have an English cucumber, which is going to help us add more water, some more flavors, some vitamins and minerals into our plate. And I'm going to give it just a quick chop as well. So to start off, it should already be cut down the middle. So whenever we have a piece of fruit or vegetable that's round, we want to create our flat surface so it's not rolling all over our plate. And now that my cucumber is from round to flat, I can create slices, half-moon slices. And then I can cut these smaller as well, depending on how large you want it in your salad. And so just a quick fun fact whenever you're using your knives. So the best way to hold your knife, I know we've gone over it multiple times, but for any of our newbies, we like to pinch the top of our knife with our thumb and our pointer finger up at the top, and then curl the rest of your fingers underneath. And it's supposed to release some of the tension, because if you hold it like your knife like this can cause a lot of tension not only in your finger but also into your wrist. So we want to protect our wrist and use like this. So we're pinching and then curl the rest of our fingers underneath. And now we have a good control over our knife. Whenever we're cutting, we want to keep the front part of our blade flat on our cutting board. So what I'm doing is I'm keeping it down and I'm just lifting and gliding and guiding the food underneath. So that's how, if you ever hear, then that's probably we're not using the best knife skills or knife safety skills. So I'm very guilty of it too, especially at home when I have a large sweet potato. I'm banging at my sweet potato, hoping to get that open. But best safety, best knife skills, we want to keep our knife on the cutting board and glide. And then once I get close to the end, I don't know if you can see on the camera, once I'm getting close to the end, I'm going a little bit slower, making sure I'm looking at my food, and I'm curling my fingers underneath using that claw technique. So that claw, again, it's curling our fingers underneath so that they are guiding along the blade. And instead of, there goes the top of my finger, keeping them curled underneath helps. Alrighty, so I'm going to cut these just a little bit smaller. Now, again, to go with our plate method, we had the 2/3 of ingredients as plant-based. So the other ingredients that were not used, we were brainstorming using shrimp with this recipe as well. We were thinking of doing a shrimp and tofu kebab, but we left the shrimp out just in case anyone has allergies. We try to stay away from allergens here. The other ingredient was some queso fresco. And so adding that on top of nice fresh flavor helps to, again, bring out that flavor. We're still getting wonderful benefits from our dairy products like calcium, vitamin D, which is all needed to help support our healing process. And then also, fun way to use the queso fresco. So if you ever are at home trying to create something, you don't want to have a huge mess with cheese, the best way to do it is we put it into a baggie and we crumble the cheese just right there in the bag and then use it to top on top. So that way you don't have a huge mess, you don't have it all over your fingers either. You can just use it from the bag and portion it out with the spoon. So let me just finish up here. Now that we have all of our pieces, we got our mango, our avocado, and our cucumber. What else would you add to this plate to help kind of round it out or make it a little bit more filling? Anyone else have some ideas? Steak. I love it. I love it. Well, we'll maybe try our tofu steaks next time. I'm just kidding. I love it. What was that? Dried cranberries. It's a little more sweetness. Okay. Well, we're going to use our lemon to bring out some more of the flavors. So everyone should have about 1/4 of a lemon. The best way, whenever you're at the grocery store, this is a fun fact that I learned. So whenever you're trying to find if your lemon's going to be flavorful and ready and ripe, best way is the scratch and sniff method. So scratch up at the top of your lemon, at the very top, so everyone has 1/4. You can scratch up at the top and then try to sniff the lemon rind. And if you can smell that lemon flavor, then your lemon is ready. If you scratch and there is no, like you're not smelling any lemon flavor after, then that lemon is going to be a dud, or it's not going to be as flavorful and juicy. So that's just a fun fact. And then you could also roll your lemon. So I should have shown it before I cut, but you can roll your lemon to help the juices come out. But if not, I'm just going to squeeze this way. And if you have seeds in your quarter, squeeze reverse. So that way you can catch the lemon seeds in your fingers since we don't have a lemon squeezer today. We're just going to all squeeze right this way. We're going to use both hands. I'm just going to go right over all of our ingredients. And then I'm going to mix it all together while mixing in the tofu. So I'm going to mix all our mango, our avocado, and our cucumber. I'm going to put it onto our plate now that it has the lemon juice. We got some runaway pieces. So I was also thinking we could add some grains to it. We could add the quinoa like we tried last time. Grains, especially whole grains, it's a great way you can add in not only extra fiber, you can also, I see some lemon flavors back there. So if we add in a whole grain, and not only is it adding in that fiber, it also has extra protein. The fiber, when we use the whole grain, has protein in it too. So we want to include that. And now I'm just going to give it a quick toss. So there's one thing on our tray that we haven't used yet. Can anyone guess what it is? It's tahini. So I am a huge fan of tahini. Who has tried it before or who has not tried it? Okay. So, and if you've noticed, we have not added any salt to our plate today. I like to use tahini sometimes as my salt flavor enhancer. And this, you will not see it on our recipe card. And so this is just something extra I wanted to add. You don't have to try it, but if you want to, we're using it today as to bring out a little bit more flavor, a little bit of spice. It has very, very light spice. I'm just doing a small pinch. A bit of a tang to help bring out the flavors. So this is, again, very much a summer salad, a spring salad that we're getting into. And so it's just to help add a little bit more flavor. And I'm adding, so everyone has about half a teaspoon in the container. I'm adding about 1/3 of that. So I added just very little, about 2 pinches. And then now we have our salad completely ready. So before we jump in, you can mix it all together, yes. Before we jump in, my favorite part is what are our senses? How are we not only appeasing our stomachs, but getting all our senses in? So what do we see? Oh yes, the tofu. If you haven't taken your tofu out, you should mix your tofu into the salad. Yes. Yes. So what are the colors that we see? I see green and yellow. I like the contrast of red now that we added with the tahini, just a little bit of contrast. And then also the tofu kind of just blends in with some brown a little bit that it's bringing into it too. What do we smell? The lemon? Smells like chicken? Because we pan-seared it just a little bit, right? I love that. I don't really smell any tofu flavor. So when you take it right out of the box, it has a completely different smell to it. So now that we've cooked it down, I don't smell that tofu flavor. Okay, now we have our scent, our sight, our smell, our touch, which we can use with our fork. Some of it's crunchy while I'm just kind of putting food onto my fork. Some of it's crunchy while also other pieces are soft. So I'm getting a contrast in textures. I kind of like that. Anybody else? Now the best part is the flavor, the taste. What do you taste? No tofu, okay. I don't taste much of the tofu actually. When I have the avocado mixed with the mango. What do we think? What do we think so far? I'm going to try another bite. Not bad? Yeah? Yeah? You've never cooked it before? Maybe not, maybe not. So this is a very, very simple way to use a tofu. You can also, again, marinate it. You can do a soy sauce with a little bit of ginger and garlic. You can put honey on your tofu. You can do steak seasonings. So again, it's just another way to include protein into our plate while also keeping the 2/3 to 1/3 portion. So if we had more items on here that were animal sources, like our dairy that we originally were going to have, if we had that on here and we didn't want to include any more animal sources, that's where we could pull tofu in. It's just another way, again, a plant source of protein. So that's hopefully something to explore. You could always do beans, you could do chickpeas, you could do quinoa or lentils. So there's lots of great different plant sources of protein out there. I know I was just talking to another group recently with NEISD. They're like, we're getting ready for Lent and we need more recipes that are plant-based. So if you are observing Lent this year or any other vegetarian religious holidays, this is another recipe you can try out too. So just something to keep in your back pocket, trying it out, something different. But I hope you enjoy. Again, we're talking about the New American plate. So if you have any questions, please feel free. I'll be here to talk. But thank you so much for class today. I hope you enjoy.